The Championships Cup is going to be available now for an entire week, and it's going to be a completely new meta that is super important that we analyze it, because it's also going to be the base of the LAIC that weekend as well. So, hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 teams for the Championship Cup. If you haven't seen that yet, there is a video on my channel as well. We already talk about the meta and what is allowed and what is not allowed, because there are a lot of rules for this cup here and a lot more to talk about. Please check the video out first. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and we can move on right into team number 1. This meta is defined by quite a lot of very neutral Pokemon. We are seeing here as well already a team with it. We're going to have basically no good difficult matchup for this team because it's just so neutral. We're going to have the Celio here, one of a few water and ice type Pokemon or just general ice type Pokemon that are very solid in this meta. This meta is going to be dominated by ice type Pokemon, which is quite interesting. We're going to have the Goodra as a Sace Up, and we have the Turtonator in the back. And this is going to be a very interesting team here. Of course, if you've seen the meta review video as well already, you would know that Oranguru can fit in basically every single slot. I'm not going to say anything more towards Oranguru and any of the team. But if you are missing one of the Pokemon, just place Oranguru into it and it's fine. Oranguru doesn't have an answer in this meta. Like, there is no answer to it. That's why it's on top of this on this list here as well. There is no answer to it. Otherwise, here, this is looking perfectly. The only Pokemon that apparently on paper is going to be tough for you is Turtonator, but you have your own Turtonator, you have a Goodra with Strength with damage and neutral damage with a Aqua Tear, and we have the Celio with just neutral damage the entire time. So I wouldn't say that this is like a difficult matchup whatsoever for this team. I think this team is actually really, really solid. Next up, Oranguru in the lead. Of course, here to try to win the lead matchup, just trying to play it out. We have Confusion, which got buffed this season. We have Brutal Swing, which is very, very strong and very cheap. And we have Trailblaze, which is going to boost their own attack up, which is really important as well for this Pokemon. And then we're going to have the Runerigus in the back, as well as the Gyarados. Those can counter the weakness of the Oranguru as well, which is basically just in this meta the bug type weakness, because all dark type Pokemon are banned for this meta. So this is why Runerigus as well is a very solid safe stop here for it, because it can resist the bug type damage. You have a Rock Tomb in order to deal with that, and you just generally don't have to worry about dark type Pokemon that could usually just hardwall you. And so in the back here as well, we have the Gyarados, which is also good to be able to resist the damage of bug-type Pokemon, which is really nice there as well, and just kind of fits right into it. Here, Goodra, I guess, could be a bit tricky with energy. Like, if Goodra has a lot of energy, it is very difficult, but generally speaking, Dragon Breath is still super effective for Gyarados. We have a Runerigus, which is going to be able to take a hit and still does a lot of damage, and Oranguru is just super neutral. Like, there's no benefit for Goodra in this matchup, so I wouldn't say that's like a bad matchup generally. Next up, we're going to have Skeledirge, Glady, as well as Drampa. This is going to be a very, very interesting one here, as Skeledirge is going to be a very cool Pokemon together with us. Those backline here, of course, have the weakness to fighting type Pokemon, where there are not a lot available in this meta. The only one that I can really think of is currently Annihilate, which you don't even have a team around because there's so many ants to it. But basically, Drampa is very good together with Skeledirge. That's a perfect core basically in the current meta. There's next to nothing that can really break through that one. This is a core that I would really recommend you to take a look at, because, yes, Skeledirge, Drampa is not a core that a lot of people are going to expect, but I think it's really, really solid here. It's going to be good against even Turtonator here. Drampa is going to win this matchup quite easily there as well. It's just going to be very nice neutrally, and I think Skeledirge is one of the coolest and strongest Pokemon in this meta. And then you just fit something in between. That kind of works out quite well as a safe swap. Glady is just something that I feel like is kind of interesting, because it is not a Pokemon that you would usually see, but it's a Pokemon that's super highly ranked, and I kind of want to try this Pokemon out as well. But this is a very solid Drampa Skeledirge team. This core is amazing to run. I would really recommend you to give this core a try. Next up, we're going to have here Altaria, which is also available, which is a very strong Pokemon. Oranguru as well as Bronzong. Just in case there would be a fairy type, which I don't actually know if there are fairy types even allowed, because I haven't seen a single one. There is a video, of course, where I made already towards the meta, where we looked at all of that already, but I'm talking about like 2 days after recording this one. I don't know the exact rule set anymore for it, but all the teams already at the time. We're going to have here the Altaria, Oranguru, as well as Bronzong. This is just going to be able to cover up, of course, here the weakness of Altaria in the back. Mainly also Bronzong is there for the Ice-type Pokemon, which you're going to be able to resist the Ice-type damage over them. And you're still going to be able to hit them for some neutral damage with a Metal Sound, as well as the Psyshock. Even for some Pokemon, you hit them for super effective damage with the Metal Sound, like the Everlock in the meta. And of course, Oranguru's Haze Up is just very safe. If you don't want to run this Pokemon, you can also run something like the Skeledirge here. Next up, we're going to have a team that's going to be a bit weak to Ice-type Pokemon. Fully aware of that. That is something that I am aware of that team here. But the thing is, as well with this team, he's super fast, you're going to outspeed most of the Ice-type Pokemon anyway, and you're going to be able to at least play that out. So, for example, what do you do against a different kind of Ice-type Pokemon? Here you're going to have, for example, DrGreenMustache. I would most likely swap out into my Fearow. I would be able to get to the Drill Peck a little bit faster. You would be able to also get some damage in there. You have a Rock Tomb still on the Claydol, you still have Rock Tomb on the Rufflet. That all kind of works out alright there. You can go for Gyarados, for example, as well, which doesn't have the Ice-type weakness as a Flying-type Pokemon for this team, which would help out. But basically what you have here is you can cover up a lot of other Pokemon that are not Ice-type with this team, and it's like a team that's definitely a bit risky to play, but I still kind of want to include because I think Claydol is a good Pokemon in this meta. But yeah. Ice-type Pokemon, we have to see on how common they're going to be and how we can beat them. You can, by the way, use also even Arctipex as a safe swap here for this team, and you have a little bit less weakness to those Ice-type Pokemon. Would all work out. There are a lot of different options, and we can move on to team number 6, which is going to be the Ice Table. We have here the Turtonator as well as the Gyarados. The Ice Table is going to be very strong in this meta because they're going to have access to the move Crunch, and this is going to be quite significant here as there are a lot of Pokemon that are going to be either Psychic or Ghost type, which you're going to be able to hit with a Crunch here for super effective damage. Everlock itself has very nice bulk and also have access to Icy Wind, which makes it a great lead, because if you have a great lead with this Pokemon and they swap out into a different Pokemon, you can debuff them, and with that you're going to be able to align yourself later on maybe a little bit better and win some matchups a bit more, and this is kind of the way how this team is supposed to work. There's nothing really that I'm too worried about. Apparently, Wall Ride is going to be tricky for this team, but you're still going to have the Turtonator, which is doing neutral damage and takes neutral damage unless it's Earthquake, but you're going to be able to outspeed with Turtonator all the time. And you have the Gyarados, which is going to be also quite neutral towards it. Most likely, like Water and Ice, is going to be a little bit more tricky for this team, generally full stop. But you most likely could have other alternatives as well in the back still that can counter them instead of the Gyarados. Gyarados is not necessary for this here because while generally Gyarados and Altaria Core is really good together, the thing is here, they're basically no Fighting type Pokemon, so you don't really need a Flying type to cover the weakness of Fighting type Pokemon here for the Ice typing, and this makes Ice type so much better and so much safer in this meta. But generally, you should have something in the back that can counter Fire-type Pokemon because they're going to be quite common. And why Gyarados is actually here kind of the best idea behind there is mainly because he can actually counter the Fire-types, as well as you're going to be able to still deal with Turtonator, which is kind of a bit more rare to be seen there. And so, yeah, this is going to be quite solid like this, and we can move on to team number 7. Which is going to be the Dusknoir. We're going to have here the Bronzong as well as the Vespiquen. This is going to be a very interesting team, and that's going to be a very solid team here. This is going to be a team where we are going to take a look at some 2 anti-meta Pokemon for Oranguru, and the lead that's going to be quite weak to Oranguru. So Bronzong is going to be our safe here. We have the Vespiquen in the back, and the Vespiquen is mainly here as well to counter the Oranguru, to counter some of those answers as well, like the Metang, for example, as well. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting team here. I think it's going to be a team that should work out quite well. It is going to be more of an anti-meta team. And yeah, I think it's going to be a very solid team to run. And let's move on to the next one here, where we're going to take a look here at the Walrein, the Runerigus, and the Zoroark. This is more of a fun team to run. I just saw that Hisuian Zoroark was really highly ranked, and I kind of want to see on how good it actually is. I doubt that Hisuian Zoroark is actually going to be that great. If you want to have something different here, just go for a different ghost type. You're going to be kind of alright as well. You're kind of supposed to bait out the opponent's Oranguru here with a safe swap of Runerigus, being able to hit it slow with a Brutal Swing. You still have Foul Play on the Zoroark as well, which is kind of nice for that weakness to Oranguru. But generally speaking, it's just a very nice neutral matchup there, neutral team, and it should work out quite solidly here as well. Again, kind of covering up the weakness of Walrein against like those Steel type Pokemon, and they all are part Psychic type as well. Like Bronzong, you're going to be able to beat, or something like the Metang. So next team here is going to be around the Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu is very cool in this meta. Alolan Raichu is going to have access to Volt Switch, Wall Charge, as well as Psyshock, and it's just a very good lead right now. There are not a lot of ground type Pokemon, not a lot of Pokemon that you have to be worried about. Of course, there's some ghost type still around. There's of course the odd ground type, but against all of those, for example, water and ice type Pokemon, you're going to be very, very strong. Against the Oranguru, you're going to be able to resist the fast move of it. You just generally here though in order to get an advantage. Ideally a shield advantage, because what you kind of want to do is you either want to get energy on your Dugong or you want to get energy on your Dusknoir, because both of those are excelling in this manner with energy. because you have Dusknoir, which has also Fire-type coverage, which you already talked about on how many Ice-type Pokemon are there and how important this could be. And then you have Durong, which has the Ground-type coverage, which is going to help you out against Pokemon like Bronzong, for example, and just generally the answers to usually Ice-type Pokemon, which makes it a very, very good pick as well. And so this is the idea behind this team. I think this team is amazing. The only Pokemon that can be a bit tricky is, I guess, Turtonator in the lead. Also at the back, to be fair, there's like still the weakness of Brutal Swing to your Dusknoir. Durong is totally fine against it, actually very solid against it. So yeah, unless you face Turtonator in the lead, I think this is a very, very solid team. And the final team here is Bronzong Double Dragon, because Druddigon is actually very cool in this meta. I kind of wanted to just showcase this Pokemon here, as Druddigon has access to Night Slash and Rock Tomb. It's a very good safe up for this meta. With Dragon Tail generating a lot of energy, you're going to be able to hit Pokemon like the Oranguru with super effective damage, especially if you have a little bit of an energy lead. And you're just a different pure Dragon-type Pokemon, other than Goodra, that's going to have different kind of weaknesses and strength. And this is the thing as well here. For example, your idea here is to try to bait out something like Bronzong, but you're still going to be able to hit Bronzong with a Night Slash. You're going to be able to bait something out like the Oranguru, which you're going to be able to hit as well with a Night Slash. You hit something like a Metang for super effective damage. That's something that, for example, here the Goodra just cannot do, or Druddigon comes in clutch, and this is kind of the idea of this team. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Sorry if I sound a little bit weird, I'm a bit sick there as well. Hopefully you still enjoy this video. Check out the videos on the screen right now, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.